Okay, my friends, welcome to the next episode. So I've been outside splitting wood, and I got really inspired and decided to come in and talk to you guys for a little bit because it's been a while. I've been busy, I know, but yeah. So number one, why am I splitting wood? Well, because in just a few days, hopefully, or like a week, maybe 2 weeks maximum, the sauna tent is coming. So I don't know if you guys watch my other channel about the gardening and stuff, but I had mentioned to you guys during a live stream that I was trying to get payments to Russia, because I wanted to buy this sauna tent and because I'm really into sauna and things. And I couldn't because of the sanctions. Even though it's just a couple of bros making these sauna tents in like their garage and stuff, they cannot sell or ship anything to the US because of sanctions. I even called my bank and was like, okay, so how can I pay them? Because PayPal wasn't working. PayPal was working up till the sanctions, then all of a sudden, boom, no PayPal, no, and so it's not operating for Russians. And so I called my bank and was like, can I transfer to them? And they were like, nope, we can't do anything for Russia. I was like, wow, man, imagine the power. Imagine that, the power. So these guys making these tents and stuff are going to be crushed, even though they've done nothing to me or to you, or it's absurd in many ways. So because the powers that be say that, no, we're at war. Oceania's always been at war with Eurasia. Yes, do you get that reference? Let me know in the comments if you get that reference. And so, long story short, I ended up finding a American-made, or not American-made, but an American-based company. And so I ordered it from them instead because there's no way to get it from Russia. And so it will be here in a couple of weeks, and I will be taking you guys along. I will show you how I set it up, how I use it, and it's going to be a wonderful thing in combination with the ice bath, okay? Because it's the intense contrast that really helps to exercise the small muscles that open and close the veins and the arteries, okay? So that is one of the huge benefits of the cold training, or of the heat extreme trainings now, is that, like I've told you before, but just hear it again because repetition is key. One of the number one benefits of cold exposure is that there are small muscles that line your veins and arteries and capillaries in the body. And when you expose yourself to freezing cold temperatures like that, the veins, they constrict like that to limit the blood flow around the area that's getting cold. And so it redirects it to the essential vital organs. And in doing that, it is ensuring that the blood is not going to cool down too much for the main organs, okay? And so it's gonna slam shut like that. Now, when we go into the heat again, it's going to open up and dilate a lot because it wants to get the blood flowing and it wants to cool down the body in many ways. So it wants to use the skin like a radiator, and it will try to cool down the body. Now, most of our life, we go in the 70-degree lifestyle is what I will call it nowadays, where we just sit in a house that's roughly 70 degrees, summer and winter. We sit in then we go into a car that we turn to roughly 70 degrees. Then we go sit in an office or building or something that's roughly 70 degrees. We never get to experience what our ancestors did, and that is that extreme fluctuations in temperature. And so we have these natural systems within us that awaken primal instincts of drive and of fire and of passion. We do not activate those because they've become dormant due to lack of stimulation. And so that is one of the best things that the cold training is for. Now, cold training combined with sauna therapy is just off the charts, okay? So you'll definitely get to see it on this channel. And so just prepare for that. So that's why I'm in my wood splitting costume, even though it doesn't look that much different from my normal costume. All clothes are costume, really. I mean, when I was traveling in India is when I really became sensitive to the absurdity that we've been programmed in the Western culture that the clothes make the man. And we determine based upon how a person is dressed is what tells us certain cues and where to place this person. And man, it took me a long time to undo that conditioning. Because in India, I've been in villages where the most respected elder shaman of the village, who everybody showered with respect, and was very old, and I sat with him for a number of afternoons. It was very cool. But he was dressed literally in pajamas. But I mean, not like something you'd wear as pajamas, but like as actual, flannel pajama suit, And then one day he had on just like some girl's shirt, some Hello Kitty, who even knows, it was something like that. Because the clothing doesn't make the man in that culture. They haven't had that programmed into their mind so that they have to invest in expensive clothing and things like that. It's a trip, man. And when I first started traveling, those kind of things really hit me hard, because at first I was like, what do you mean this guy's the village shaman, the elder, the most respected man in all of the area? He's wearing Hello Kitty shirt. That can't be right. He can't be respected. But little did I know that is my own belief system that has been imprinted into my mind from birth because of, obvious reasons in Western culture. So, yeah, ever since then, ever since being done with traveling or coming back from traveling and stuff, now I just wear what is comfortable and neutral. I don't try to have like a style or anything. Like, look, I've got a style and stuff. And, I think I'm this or I think I'm that. Or look at my front. It just doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't matter anymore. Once you don't see along those lines, you can't unsee once you start to see. So anyways, that being said, let us move on to the next thing. So that was about so I have to hydrate, okay? Remember, I'm just doing these videos unedited, all in one go, because this is like great practice as far as just letting the energy flow through me. So I really appreciate you guys being here. Now, what was the next thing going to be? Okay, let's talk about another couple of other things. And one is that most people, when they hear about the practices, okay, or when they think of doing things to improve yourself, self-improvement things. I don't even want to call them that, but just things, the practices to take you out of your current state of reality and to put you into an expanded state, we could say. Things like cold training, things like breathing exercises, things like meditation, things like extreme athletic things, things like consuming raw beef liver and raw bone marrow, or things like doing extreme traveling and putting yourself into far out, uncomfortable situations and really testing the body and the mind. Now, a lot of people think that, and I know this because I've had conversations with people, they say, well, you're going to live to be 100. And as if longevity is the key, see? And so I've talked with other people and they will say things that allude to the fact that, okay, well, as they're smoking, they're yeah, I know it's going to take a few years off the life, but whatever. It helps me deal with life, And I know because I smoked Lucky Strikes for like 5 years, okay? This is many years ago now, but I smoked Lucky Strikes, unfiltered. I mean, the real cancer sticks. And I was, yeah. And it just, what it does to the mind is so unbelievable. Okay, I'm getting off on a side tangent, but I got to about the smoking because, man, it sets up, I'll tie it all in. So, people are saying like, yeah, I'm going to cut a few years off my life and then, so what, I'll live a few years less. Now that, when we think about health and well-being, that is only a side effect. That is only a side effect of getting right within yourself. So living to be of a super old age is not the goal, okay? And it shouldn't be anyone's goal because at any point along the way, something could happen. You could be sitting at a stoplight and get blindsided by a semi-truck and that's it. So then some people would say, all those years of healthy eating and all those sacrifices he made and all that uncomfortable situations he put himself in, now it's all for nothing because he died young or because he didn't live to the ripe old age of 105. Now, that's one way to look at it, but that is not, in my opinion, the winner's way to look at it. Because the winner's way to look at it, and the way that I would say to look at it, is that it is not about adding years to the life. It's about adding life to the years. Yes? So it is not about living longer in some unforeseen future that is so far. At this point in life, adding 5 more years on to like a life of, okay, 95 instead of 90, that's not motivating to people, or to me. That's kind of like, I got a weed violation on the house for having what they thought was long weeds, even though it was a butterfly garden. So I got a weed violation and I didn't pay it. And they're like, sent me a letter, we're going to put a lien on the house. So like, okay, so at the very end, in like 200 years, when the house is paid off, that's when I'll pay that $90 fine. Okay, not a big deal, because it's so far off. Okay, but that's not the goal. The goal is, how alive do you feel at this moment? At this moment, not 5 minutes from now, not 5 years from now. It is, how sensitive are you to the flow of energy that is happening within you and all around you? How connected do you feel to the environment and to others? How alive are the colors when you go out and you see the world and you experience things? How powerful are these experiences? How intense do you feel the passion of life flowing through you? That is the real gauge. That is what it is all about, in my opinion and in my experience. Yeah, if you do the practices so that you are very finely tuned to the intricacies of life, then yes, a side effect will probably be longevity. You will probably live longer, but we don't know. But what we do know for sure is that this moment, there is a deep sense of peace, a deep sense of peace. There is no longer any sense of impending doom like there was for years. This whole experience was one of impending doom and of self-repeating cycles of destruction that somehow I could not get out of. And it was just so scary and so big. But that is not the case anymore. That is not the case. Now there is only the one infinite mystery that is all around me, all around us, all the time. And it is very comforting. It's a comfort that never leaves. Let me know if you can understand what I'm talking about. I'm sure many of you can, but I always stop myself when I go too deep into spiritual talking, because I feel like that's where I will lose so many people, but it does not like it really matters. I mean, I'm just talking to the screen right now. But at the same time, it's not about adding life, or it's not about adding years to the life. It's about adding life to the years. Because you can feel so vibrant and alive that you will never again want to leave the clarity of thought, the clarity of direction and purpose and love and unity. You will never want to do anything that would justify that in any way, meaning to numb yourself up, or to delve into some kind of addiction or some kind of escape, or some kind of, some people have shopping addictions, some people have food addictions, some people have drug addictions, some people have spending addictions, some people have, internet porn addictions, some people have a vast number of things, but it's all interchangeable. It's all interchangeable because it's the same symptom of the deeper cause. Okay, those are all just symptoms of the deeper cause. And the cause is that I am unwilling to face the reality of what is. I think that there is a point in the future that I will be more whole and more complete, and therefore more worthy of love than I am at this moment. But that is simply not true. What awakening really is just the dissolution of that one fallacy, the evaporation of that one illusion, that I am somehow not worthy of everything at this moment, that I have to do something in order to be worthy of love, or in order to be worthy of life. I have to somehow earn this, but you don't. There's nothing that you can do that is going to increase your wholeness or your completeness in any way. There's nothing in this realm of form that can add to or subtract from your true essential nature, because you are already whole, already complete. There is no movement. This is what the awakening is, if I could describe it in words. There's no movement from a state of incompletion to an eventual state of completion. That's all an illusion. Right now, you are already completely perfect. And it is that realization that will dispel all the sensations of anxiousness or of stress or of worry or of impending doom. So that's what that is, my friends. Now, let me take some hydration here, because hopefully you guys are doing the hydration thing that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Because remember, most people are walking around in a state of chronic dehydration, and that does a number of things. Well, number one is that it kind of thickens the blood. And so each heartbeat has to pump a thicker and thicker blood through the veins, right? And that's not what we want. So that taxes the heart unnecessarily. And most people are walking around in a state of chronic dehydration, meaning not like acute, severe dehydration where they're going to drop dead, but just like a low-lying dehydration. And they don't even know it. So here's how you can know it. For the next week or 10 days, okay, for the next 10 days, drink 1 gallon of water every day. Get a 1 gallon, that's 4 liter, jug of water. And make sure, it doesn't matter really when you drink it. I mean, ideally drink it, evenly spaced throughout the day, but it doesn't matter. Just make sure that gallon of water is gone before the end of the day, every day for 10 days. And that one practice alone is going to really transform things for you guys. And especially some of you will say, whoa, this has really been transformative. And that's because you've been in a state of chronic dehydration. And that's going to flush out more toxins, all them toxins we talked about a couple of weeks ago, from all the stuff that is around us. We're swimming in a sea of man-made toxins. The water is going to help flush it out, okay? Not tea, not any other liquid substance, not Gatorade. You don't need any of that stuff, just pure, clean water, my friends, okay? And you are going to, and then put it in the comments. Let me know. Say, wow, okay, I've been doing it. I've been doing it for 5 days, 10 days, and I can't believe the benefit. And that's one of the massive benefits of the Master Cleanse, is that people are consuming tons of water and liquid. And for the first time in their life, they're properly hydrated. And so that is a big deal, okay? And then after that 10 days, you can go to like 2 liters of water or whatever. You will, your body will tell you how much water you need, especially if you get a lot of structured water in your food. And that's important. Remember, drinking water is one type of good hydration, but getting structured water through your food is the ultimate type of hydration, because it's bioavailable to the body. The body understands exactly how to use the structured water that is in fruits and vegetables and different other things, okay? Now, next thing I want to talk about is the books that I'm reading at the moment, okay? This one, Awakening the Energy Body, From Shamanism to Bioenergetics. Now, I'm reading it, but I cannot say that I would recommend it to most people, okay? It's pretty in-depth as far as the energy body and astral projection and things like that, which, I'm just consuming books. Okay? Because it's good to be able to, because a lot of people want to talk about astral projection and all these kind of things. So it's good to have knowledge to be able to relate to them, the information, but you can tell when someone, now let me know if you've had this experience. You can tell when somebody has a lot of knowledge, or a lot of information, okay, that has not been turned into knowledge through experience. You understand what I mean? There's a lot of people, and you get this a lot of times with PhDs or people that write books and stuff, that they have all this information in their mind. Either they've been told, or they've observed it, or they've read it or something, but it hasn't been converted into actual knowledge by the catalyst of experience. Yes, it has not, they have not realized it, meaning it has not become a reality for them. And so they will just kind of talk at you. They will just kind of give you, sort of regurgitate the information that they've collected. They've collected a lot of information and they're going to repackage it and give it to you. But it doesn't have that oomph, that core, that spirit that comes from something when someone has realized it, when they have lived it and it has become an experience for them. And then they are telling you not from a state of, this is the information that I've collected, but from a state of knowing. This is from a state of, here is my truth based upon what I know to be true, my experience. And when there's that lack, you can just feel the sort of disconnect. It's kind of dry, stuff like that. So that's this book here. I can't say that I would recommend it, although, of course, I'm going to finish it. But this book I'm very excited about. This will be the next one, The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, if you're into this channel and stuff we talk about, then you probably are already familiar with Dr. Bruce Lipton. And so am I. Now, there's a cool, you can search on YouTube, The Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton. And it's like an hour-long presentation. It's really good. But after watching that, then I was like, okay, there's got to be a book. And, of course, there is. And so I got the book. And it just arrived. And I'm very excited to read it because YouTube or a presentation, that's one thing. And that's great. That's a great method of learning and a great method of absorbing knowledge. But the book is just that people go more in depth in the book. And like I've said before, you when you're watching something, a presentation or something, you're watching it happen to someone else. But when in the book, it's happening to you. You get to be inside of the mind. These become your thoughts. So the reading is just so vital. These past 4 years since the awakening, I really have found a whole new love for reading. Because like I said before, I used to just read I used to keep it next to the nightstand. And then, right before bed, I'd try to read and then boom. And then I would fall asleep reading. And then that made it so that I conditioned the body and mind to, as soon as I would open a book, I would get tired and I would fall asleep. And I couldn't read because my mind would just want to shut down. That's because you become good at whatever you practice. And so, meaning whatever you do repeatedly, that's practicing. And so when you repeatedly read to fall asleep, you will hardwire the brain to say, okay, it's time to go to sleep. And so that will become very difficult to read. So because of the quick speed reading course, I schedule my reading in the morning, and you do it in a certain way. And that alone allows you to just devour books. Okay, so it's been really good doing that. Now, why are we going to want to read books? Why are we going to want to cold train? Why are we going to want to, chew this tree resin, which I'll talk about in a moment? Why are we going to want to learn new things? Because the brain, think of this, guys. This is going to, listen, all right? The brain has 100 billion, let me make sure. 100 billion neurons in it, okay? That is about as many stars as the Milky Way galaxy has, okay, roughly. I don't know who counted them all, but roughly. So each one of those 100 billion connections has 10 to 15,000 connections. Each one of those 100 billion neurons has 10 to 15,000 connections, neural connections. That's over 100 trillion neural connections in your brain. Okay? 100 trillion. Now, let me help you quantify how many connections that is. Okay? And so listen, this is going to blow your mind if this is your first time hearing it. Now, to help quantify a trillion, okay, I'm going somewhere with all this. To help quantify a trillion, let us take seconds. How many seconds, okay, how long ago was 1,000,000 seconds? It was 11 days ago. Okay. Now, how long ago was 1,000,000,000 seconds? Go ahead. The year was 1990, 1,000,000,000 seconds ago. Okay. Now, what was the year 1,000,000,000,000 seconds ago? Go ahead. Go for it. First thing that comes to mind. Okay. 1,000,000,000,000 seconds ago, the year was 29,000 BC. Do you see? That's how big a trillion is. It's unfathomably big. And our brain has 100 trillion or more of these neural connections. And every time we learn something new, every time we experience something new or we learn something, a new neural connection is made. And so no matter your age, you are literally able to build your brain in a very real sense. And when you are not building your brain, when you are not learning, when you become stagnant, when you're not challenging your current beliefs or your current paradigm, then it's like atrophy. It just kind of withers, those connections disintegrate. And that is what happens in Alzheimer's, and that's what happens in a lot of neural diseases and brain fog as we get older and stuff, because we are not challenging ourselves. We are not forming those new neural connections. And that is why it is vitally important that we continue to feed the brain. Okay? The brain is only, 2% of the total body weight, but it uses 20 to 30% of the calorie energy. Think of that. The brain is unbelievably complex and incredibly important, and it's a voracious consumer of energy. What is it doing with all that energy? It uses, the muscles seem like it would use more energy, but the brain is constantly, all of these neural networks, at the speed of light, just, it's all happening. And it's all electrical based, okay? Which brings us back to the reason that we need to stay well hydrated, because what is a very good conductor of electricity is the water. So when there is not the water in the cells and in the blood, and in the brain, it is not firing properly. So we need to make sure we are hydrated so that the brain is sharp and fast and we're making new neural connections. Okay? Very important. And how else can we help nourish our brain? Fats. The brain is like mostly fat, composed of mostly fat. And so it is very important that we have good quality fats. We stay away from seed oils, canola oil, and the others, the vegetable oils, all of this kind of stuff is very, very detrimental for the body. Okay, we'll get into that in another thing later. But the fats that we want to focus on are the coconut oil and the tallow, the good quality refined animal fats from grass-fed sources. I know this goes contrary to a lot of current held belief, but this is the way it is, my friend. This is how this organism evolved over time, is to consume the animal fats. And so get into your life some beef tallow and some beef liver and some bone marrow. And these are major brain foods, okay? Since I got into this like 6 months ago, 7, 8 months ago, maybe now, it's opened up a whole new world. It's hard to describe the level of improvement. It's just like because I was vegetarian almost for like 2 years. I mean, I would sporadically eat meat once a month or so, but for like 2 years, I was just eating plants and mostly what I was growing and stuff. And it was a wonderful experience, and that's a really good way to live as well. But since I started adding the raw beef liver, the raw bone marrow, and the beef tallows, and the bone broth, I make bone broth, the brain has just become even sharper, which I didn't think was even possible. But the level of clarity and just wherewithal is just off the charts, okay? So I can't praise it high enough, guys. Good quality fats are the beef tallow and the coconut oil and the olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Those are all really good. Coconut oil and the beef tallow you can cook with. Olive oil is always meant to be raw. You don't cook with the olive oil, except maybe real lightly, but you never fry things in olive oil and stuff. That's not ideal. We can talk about that at another time if you'd like, so let me know if you want to talk about different kinds of fats. And I could break it down for you guys if you want to get into that, as far as why the seed oils are very detrimental to the body and why the quality saturated fats are really good for the brain. Because remember, the brain is everything. So without the brain, we don't have a lot in this life. Okay. So I know that there was a couple of other things. Okay, guys. Now, remember I suggested you read the book Breath by, and thank you for the person that corrected me, because I was calling it breathe for like months and telling everyone breathe, but it's actually breath. But, details. So yeah, in there, they talk about chewing and how the modern man does not chew nearly like our ancestors did. And in the book, he goes through and it explains to you by examining skulls of our ancestors, how all of them had wider jaws, nasal cavities, channels, and straight teeth and no cavities. Okay, they all had straight teeth and no cavities, and they could breathe better because the arches and the stuff in the I forget exactly what I'm paraphrasing the book, but as I read the book, it all resonated with the intelligence, the innate intelligence within. When I listened to the heart, which I always do now, then that said, yes, that is true. That's the way it is. This makes sense. And so it's up until just 300 years ago, once the start of the industrialization of everything, and we started eating soft foods that have been processed, that we see people now with shrunken nasal cavities, shrunken jaws, and crowd together teeth, crooked teeth and cavities. All of that is symptoms of the modern life. And that totally resonates with everything that I know to be true as well. But something I didn't know before that book that I've known now is about the chewing. And so I got this tree resin from Greece, Tears of Chios. It's a mastic gum, and it's 15 times harder than chewing gum. And so here's what I do. I have a session with it every day, about an hour, and it's antimicrobial, it's antibacterial, antiviral, all of this stuff. It's it's an antiseptic, basically, tree resin. So you can just put it in a container like this and chew it over and over, and then put it down and then chew it again the next day. And it goes good for about a week. I replace it about every week. And I can tell you, do a 1 hour session, start with like 15 minutes, but do like a 1 hour session throughout the day when you're just answering emails or something like that, to do equal sides on both sides, equal amount of time on both sides, and then 20% of the time in the front teeth. And guys, it feels like a workout. Well, it is a workout for the jaw. So have you gone to the gym before where you feel after you get a good pump, you're like, wow, or you split wood or something, you feel pumped. You're like, oh man, I just feel the muscle feels tight and kind of swollen with blood, and therefore it's being fed with nutrients. And so that's a really good feeling. Now, when you chew this stuff and you have a good 30 to an hour workout with it, your whole face will feel like this. My face, muscles that I've never worked before, I've never felt these muscles before, are now like becoming engaged, and they swollen. And after I have a good long hour session with this gum, I'll look in the mirror and my face is like flush red because it's being worked and all the blood is flowing to it. And another huge benefit is that, so a lot of you probably know that in our life, we get little aches and pains as we age. And so some of them you have to like do something about, but some of them you don't, they're not intense enough to have to do something about, or there is nothing you can do about them. So you just learn to live with them. You just kind of learn to live with the general sort of background dull pain. And I was doing that. I had been doing that this past year or so with the teeth. The left side especially was, I wasn't chewing on that side because it was just kind of tender for some reason. So I just learned to live with it. It kind of hurts a little bit and stuff. But since I started chewing this a couple months ago, that has gone away. Both sides feel equally solid now. And I don't feel any more of the tenderness. It just feels, it's healed it in some way. So it's incredible, guys. I would definitely give it a try if you haven't, and maybe I'll put a link in the description to the certain type of gum. I just get it off of Amazon, but you want to make sure it's the real deal, okay? This is just the tree resin. There's no sugars. Don't be chewing sugars or artificial sweeteners, all that stuff. It's all for the birds. Forget about it, okay? So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you guys. So remember, if you take anything from this, it's not about adding years to the life. It's about adding life to the years. So be doing the cold training, because I'm going to start making a couple of videos about actual cold training. So working your way up to that. Start with the cold showers. Take your regular time of the very beginning is to take your regular time of shower, hot, 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 and then turn it to cold for as long as you can bear, between 5 and 30 seconds, and then turn it back to hot. And then, okay, get hot again. And like that, increase your time. And then after you do a week or so of that, then end the shower with cold water. Okay, so just once you're done with the hot shower, just end the shower with the cold water. And 30 seconds or so, and then get out and let your body warm naturally. Don't turn it back to hot. And this is going to awaken whole new channels within yourself. I'll be making a video soon on this, like an actual how-to. Okay, how to get into the cold training and how to incrementally condition the body. Because you don't just jump right into the ice bath. You can, but it's best if you awaken and work up the muscle to do that. So then play with that a bit until you can start the shower with a cold shower. And then that's when it gets real serious. And when you do it, always remember to take control of the breathing. The breathing is going to want to go like this, but you have to take control. And this is vitally important, is that you are forming new connections in the mind that says, okay, here is a stressor. Here is a major, major stressor, like the cold. The body wants to freak out and breathe out of control and wants to get out of the shower, but I'm going to take control. And I'm going to breathe. I'm going to start by taking control of the breathing. And I go, long, slow exhalations. Because the body wants to freak out. It wants to go all shallow like that. You don't let it. You take control. And you go just like that. And you say to the mind, adapt. You breathe, adapt, adapt. You literally say that to yourself in the mind. And what that is doing is extremely powerful, my friends. It is willingly, and the willing part is the most important part. You are willingly placing yourself in a high stress environment. And you are then practicing taking control of the mind and the thoughts. And you are saying, no, even though the stressor exists, it doesn't matter. I am in the driver's seat. And so I am going to control the functions of my body and mind. Anything that is within my control. And once you practice this, you will see how much is actually in your control. And it's far more than you think it is. Way more is in your control than you think it is. I guarantee you that. And cold training is going to show you that. Because in a controlled environment where it's not dangerous, you start with the cold shower and no one's going to get hurt with a cold shower. And by placing yourself in there and then saying, okay, this is a high stress environment and there's all these signals. The body wants to run. The mind wants to get out or think about other things or justify reasons why, well, this is not for me. It's all these reasons. No, block it all out. Take control. And that is going to give you the strength and the tools and the ability to translate into your day-to-day life. When you experience a state of heightened stress, you will automatically know what to do because that muscle has become really strong. Because remember, you become good at whatever you practice, and practice just means whatever you do repeatedly. And so we repeatedly practice taking control in a high stress situation. And when that translates into your day-to-day life, you will find yourself laughing at things that used to stress you out. You will find yourself saying, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, you will be able to see the body and mind, how the body might want to do something or the mind might want to think about something else. Take control because you're in the driver's seat, not whatever else was happening before. And your ability to overcome these stressors will increase exponentially. And you will see it is truly magnificent. So let us just start with the cold, my friends. And I'll be making some videos about cold training and the breathing exercises and stuff like that. So try to watch the videos, give it a thumbs up or whatever, and share the video with somebody, So, and then also, of course, check out the gardening channel because it's all about growing our own food, guys. So I will see you next time.